For more on our brand new NBC News poll, I am joined now by national political correspondent Steve Kornacki to take us through all of the numbers. Steve, a lot of headlines here.
Certainly, Kristen. I mean, you're looking at the biggest. Harris 49, Trump 44, 5-point advantage for Harris in this poll against Donald Trump. And if we zoom out here and look at the bigger significance of this finding, we've been polling the 2024 race going back to last year. And you can see here, these are all the results on the left side of the screen from when Joe Biden was still the Democratic candidate. And now you see this is our first poll since Harris switched in. And look at that result.
You can see that the race has been completely reshaped since Harris took the top of the ticket.
Completely. And one of the things powering that lead we should note, too, there's a pretty pronounced gender gap at this point. Harris among women is leading in our poll by 21 points. Among men, Trump is leading by 12. That is a 33-point gender gap. That's enormous what we're seeing right here. Take a look at this, too. The debate, of course, happening in the last couple of weeks. Nearly 30% saying that debate made them more likely to support Harris. Much smaller number for Trump. That might be helping her as well here. And then there's this. The view, the overall perception of Kamala Harris. Remember, before she got in the race, a lot of talk that, her numbers didn't look better than Biden's. She was 32 positive, 50 negative before getting in this race. And now this is what you see.
And we have to pause here because this is the largest increase that we have seen for any politician since George W. Bush in the wake of the September 11th attacks on this issue.
Absolutely, Kristen. I mean, we were seeing numbers like this for years for Kamala Harris. Now you're seeing a very different story. And what goes into that new level of popularity she has? Take a look here. If we can, there it is. Call this up here. Some of the groups that have gravitated the most towards Harris, just in terms of favorable, look at this. Black voters, 24-point increase. Independents, 20. Young voters, 26. Young voters, this is a group where Joe Biden, when he was still in, he was putting up very, very poor numbers for a Democrat. With Harris, you could see a 26-point jump there in her favorable score among voters under 30. And then look at it this way. Just put it in comparison with Biden and then with all of the other national candidates this year. She's the only one, Kamala Harris, right now in our poll with a higher positive score than a negative score. Compare that to Trump. And by the way, at the bottom of this list, look at J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, the lowest positive score.
But you have to look at that 53% for Trump, the highest negative rating of everyone here.
There it is. Yeah, the only one over 50% majority there. Take a look at some of the issues here. We ask folks, what is the most important issue here? You've got inflation, number one here. Also the economy. I mean, add together, inflation and the economy. You're talking about 40% of the electorate citing that. And take a look at this. We talked about when Trump was running against Biden, he had some pretty strong advantages on the issues. Well, this was Trump versus Biden. That's what you're seeing right here. This is Harris versus Biden. And look, Trump still has an advantage on the economy. It's 9 points right now. It used to be 22. On the border, it's 21 now. That's a big advantage. It used to be 35. Look at this one. We talked about, remember, age being such a big issue?
Yeah.
Trump had a 29-point advantage over Joe Biden on the necessary mental, physical health. Now, Harris, 20-point advantage over Trump.
It's so fascinating because Republican sources say if former President Trump would stick to the issues like immigration and the economy, he'd be doing better. And this shows it.
It does. I mean, there's an opportunity there for him. And Harris, that's part of the success she's had in taking the lead, has been eroding that. Okay, but look at it this way. A lot of positive news here for Democrats and for Kamala Harris. But if you're a Republican looking at these numbers, look back to October 2020. It's very similar. We say Harris has jumped into a 3-point, net positive rating. That's where Joe Biden was in October 2020. Trump is pretty much in the same place, a little bit worse in terms of views of him as 2020. But here's the other difference. In 2020, Trump was the incumbent president. 60% of people thought the country was on the wrong track. Now Harris is part of an incumbent administration, and 2/3 say the country's on the wrong track. In 2020, Trump came within really a handful of votes in a few states of winning in that in the Electoral College. As the challenger against the incumbent administration, maybe overall not that much of a different setup here. Certainly in the Electoral College, within reach for him.
Just a fascinating finding, Steve, with just 6 weeks to go.
Here it is. Thank you, Kristen.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.